Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Maryann Petri. You can find my books and blogs on dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com. I have a return guest on. I have Mr. Theo Chino, a good friend of mine, on. We're going to talk about judging while under the influence, and this is in regards to a family court judge facing discipline for a pattern of misconduct that was reported on by KTNV Channel 13 in Nevada. So I welcome you, Theo Chino. What are your thoughts?
Wow. When I saw that video, a lot of things started clicking. And if you know anything about me, I love watching Columbo. You know what I love about Columbo? He's not tall. He's not particularly handsome, although he has some striking features.
I thought he was
He's not
cute.
well, right? He is kind of cute. Um, and he's not necessarily very physically intimidating, not very eloquent, not a great speaker. Boy, he just never gives up. And
Right,
here we are,
tenacity.
right? He just, oh, and another thing, and just one more question, right?
Right.
So when I saw that video, boy, did things start clicking. I would love to put on a sheriff's uniform and walk around with a breathalyzer in different courtrooms and walk in and be like, woo, have the lights going on and be like, okay, pull over, put the gavel down, come on out. Could you please blow into this breathalyzer, please? Oh,
And
look at that.
yes, and can we have a list of your medications that you are on?
There we go. So, all humor aside now, think about it. Think about what every litigant in the domestic relations division, your unconstitutional branch of government that has subjugated the local population. Think about all the litigants walking onto this pirate ship and how they're treated. Every single aspect of your life is under a microscope. Let's
Mm-hmm.
list them out, Maryann. What are they? What do they ask you about?
Your
Are you on drugs?
financials.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Number one, your financials, right? Because otherwise you get kicked down to the second floor of the DuPage County Courthouse with all of the other pro se people who can't
Right.
afford
Of
a bar member,
right.
right?
My family court judge asked me what medications I was on.
Okay. So number one, they look at your financials to see which slot they put you in, to
Right.
see, how much they're gonna milk you. I mean, how they're gonna service you properly. And then, right, after that, which is the most important thing, am I gonna get paid? Right? That's what they're wondering the most. After that happens, then they ask, are you on drugs? Are you violent? Do you drink? Then they start asking questions like, are you a smoker? That's like, I've never smoked a cigarette in my life, Maryann. And you know what? I was always just angry at how badly smokers are treated in this country. I spent a lot of time in Europe and everybody's smoking everywhere. And I feel bad for non-smokers in Europe. That's like, I feel bad for smokers in the United States of America. So do you smoke? Uh, do you have any psychological conditions? Do you have any of this? Everybody's got something, right?
Right.
If they don't have it, like they'll invent it. Oh, you don't have any psychological conditions. That could be the new condition. Wow, that's the worst one, right?
How
It's like
dare
you're
you be
too
normal?
right. How dare you be balanced and not have anything that would eventually end up making you pay a psychologist or some
Oh.
court person lots of money, right? And then they go down the whole list and then they start asking you about your health. And what else do they ask you? Okay, so violent criminal history. Are you currently under prosecution for anything? Did you threaten anyone?
Where's your
They
psych
ask you
eval?
psyche val. And then they start even asking you, let's face it, it comes up at some point, whether informally or formally through back channels or not, your political affiliations. That's a whole nother podcast topic. But today, we're just going to dive into JWUI, judging while under the influence.
Exactly.
So talk to me, Maryann. What did you see? Because I'll tell you a couple of things that I saw personally. And I'll tell you this, there was one judge that I saw on the third floor of the domestic relations division. I looked at this guy and I watched him sitting up there on that bench. I watched him conduct himself and speak. And I was like, what are you doing here? The guy actually looked like he was sober. He looked like his brain was still functioning. He was calm. Again, he didn't have the right to sit there and be the judge over other people's families and whether or not they get to be parents to their children anymore. But if you're going to get up there and do something like that, at least have your act together. At least be able to pretend like you're a judge. And this guy, okay, I'd be like, well, I'll pass on the breathalyzer. Can you touch the tip of your nose with your finger? Can you stand up on one leg and recite the alphabet? Okay, great. This guy's good. He's fine. He was even keeled. He would actually be a good facilitator for people who are having problems, working things out amongst each other. Not that he has any God given authority over these people's families, no matter how crazy anybody thinks they are. Not that he has any moral superiority over anybody, because he could be a total closet freak. We don't know. But he
Hmm.
seemed like a very normal, good person that you could have in the room. And if you give him just a little bit of power, you give him a little gavel, he wouldn't abuse it. He would just be there trying to keep everybody calm and moving towards a resolution. That was the one that I saw. The rest of them looked like they should be checked for rabies.
Hmm.
Just foaming at the mouth, out of their minds. And I'll never forget one time when the judge slammed her hands on the bench and started freaking out and screaming at everyone, not at me, but she was looking at the lawyers specifically and screaming at them and saying, why is there so much fighting? This is all pre negotiation, pre settlement, pre whatever. What's going on here? And she started pointing at them. And I think I know what she was getting at. This woman actually wanted to be in there doing a good job and protecting children. I think she actually meant to be doing well for the children in there. And while she was pointing and she was raving at them, and I think she was mad because she was missing her salon appointment. It was late on a
Oh, yeah,
Friday.
that's true. That's important.
I mean, poor thing. And so she was flipping out, and I wanted to raise my hand and be like, Your Honor, hang on a second here. Listen, um, you just had your flip out, and I don't really know what's going on with you and why you did that, but out of everybody in this room, who's the only person that's not getting paid to be here? Look, me. I'm
Hmm.
paying everybody in this room, including you, Judge, right? I'm the only person who's getting bled by everyone. I think I should be allowed, I don't know, 2 freakouts a session for all the money I'm paying here.
Right.
She'd be like, okay, yeah, well, he's pissed because, everybody's bleeding him dry in this room here, right? It's
Hmm.
like, yeah, let him go off for a minute or two. You done? Okay, thank you. All right, let's keep going, right? But see, no, I'm not allowed to do that. But the judge is allowed to flip out and act crazy. Talk to us about this video that you sent me.
Well, apparently
Point.
this judge, Mary Perry, professionalism on the bench is paramount, and records show that the conduct of one Las Vegas judge fails to meet the mark. And you can find this on YouTube where it says family court judge facing discipline for pattern of misconduct, um, by Channel 13 KTNV Las Vegas. And everyone has got to watch this because the terrorism, this is terrorism on parents and children in the courtroom by a nutcase. And I'm telling you, they have sanctioned her, but not enough. She needs to be off the bench.
Oh yeah, tell us about her punishment, Maryann. This is good. This is really good. I hope you listeners are buckled in. And I hope, you know what, maybe we should give them a warning, right? Because this may be traumatizing what happened to the judge, right? Like those
Yeah,
those
I mean,
little, like, you can't see the video first, so you got to click and acknowledge that you're about to see something traumatic. Guys, ladies,
oh
whatever you
yes.
are out there when you're listening to this, brace yourselves. Maryann, what was her punishment?
Her punishment was that she had to write a letter of apology. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry I screwed up all your families." I was on medication, and she was blaming the medication, and she's also a veteran, which does not give her any excuses either. Uh, if I'd have to play the video to hear all the, misconduct, but she's without pay for 6 months, I think? I'd have
Ouch.
oh, oh my
Oh,
god. How do you go to Disneyland on that for Christmas?
poor
Oh my
thing. I
god.
mean, oh, and then just the embarrassment, right, of the censorship or whatever it was. She was censured or something like that, right? And
Oh,
suspended. Just so embarrassing.
I'll just
But
play I'm gonna play a little bit. I'm gonna hold the
do it, yeah.
camera up. She's saying to a father, "Are you a psycho? That's a yes or no." Here, let me play this for you. Just a short piece. Hang on. Let me turn this phone up. By the commission showed Judge Perry yelling and cursing at the father. She asked one of the parents, "Are you a psycho? That's a yes or no." Anne said, "Your children deserve a lot better than both of you. I'm going to take her home with me, and neither one of you will see her." Regarding the son, she said, "I'm surprised he's spending any time with either one of you because neither one of you are worth it at this point." It don't work. He does not want to be in the room with her. He does not want to look at her, and I'm not going to force him to. What part of that is not understood? In another divorce case, the commission found Perry was hostile to one of the parties, appeared visibly agitated and angry, and refused requests to allow testimony or argument. In that case, after the divorce was settled, Judge Perry put on the record whose side she would have ruled on, saying she was doing so to prevent possible future bankruptcy fraud involving property. But the commission said she had no legal basis to do that and that her statements should have remained confidential. Oops. Although Perry admitted to
Whoops.
improper and unprofessional conduct, she told the commission her behavior could have partly been the result of taking certain medications for health conditions that she is facing. In a statement to 13 Investigates, Perry wrote, "I have gained new insight from my experience with the commission. I intend to use this experience to enhance my skills to preside over challenging cases and better
Oh,
serve families in our community." Perry agreed to the public censure and a 30-day suspension without pay, but that was put on hold for
ouch.
while she's on probation and undergoes remedial training. According to her bio on the district court website, Judge Perry is a veteran who served 8. Okay, I don't even want to, that's to me, I'm sorry, that's a disgrace to veterans. I love veterans,
It
but not
is.
this one. Okay.
Right. Well, think about this one for a second. So she says she pulls the Mel Gibson, right? Oh, I was under the influence. It might have been the drugs in my system. And now, Maryann, because of this experience, after finally being called out and busted, she's growing into a better human being, Maryann.
Oh, it's
She
miraculous.
wasn't already perfect, right? So she wasn't already perfect when they gave her immunity, where she cannot basically get sued or in any kind of trouble whatsoever for anything she does wrong while she's sitting on that bench. I mean, I think we should just give her a loaded gun. She could pull it out and just shoot the parents right there. Since she has immunity,
Right. And that's
why not?
essentially emotionally, that's what she's doing. You know, in my case, the judge asked me, "What medications are you on?" And get this, Theo, I was only on a crumb. We're talking 0.25. It's about this minuscule of Ativan because when I was a nurse, I would get home from work and I had to immediately fall asleep because I knew the kids were going to be dropped off at 6:30 a.m. So I had to get as much sleep in as I could,
Right,
you
right.
know? And so,
Well, and
but
that's the whole checklist, right? It's like, hey, you know what? Illegal drugs, you beating anybody up or threatening them, like, are you a criminal, right? Are you? And then here's the other one that's really funny. Are you cheating on your spouse? Are you hiding money? Are you this? Hey, yes to all of those if you're sitting on that bench in the domestic relations division most of the
Mhm.
time. At any given moment, there's a big yes to all of that,
Right.
right? And they're like, oh, how are they doing something illegal? Well, let's talk about that because I think, in future podcast episodes, we're going to keep this one short and just focused on the substance abuse. I think substance abuse in high pressure positions, really high powered positions like this are rampant. And this is not just judges and lawyers. I call these lawyers in the domestic relations division, they're failed wannabe celebrities
Right.
with all of the problems of celebrities, including substance abuse. To do this job day in and day out, to mess with people's families like that, you either have to be demon possessed or on drugs or both on a day-to-day basis like that. If I were to handle one family law case, that case would sit with me probably for eternity.
Hmm.
Did to that family, right?
And this is why I know after seeing this, I was actually taken back in time to my trauma after watching this. And family court must be abolished. That's proof right there how she behaved. This goes on in every courthouse in the United States and probably global.
Correct. So one piece of legislation, if we had to do something, is hey, let's install breathalyzers on the bench, and they're not allowed to touch the gavel until they've blown less than what it would take to get in a car and drive.
Right.
I think a
Right.
lot of them drink on the bench. So there is a judge who is still in the domestic relations division who used to be a guardian ad litem, who allegedly, I did not witness this myself, according to someone else, while they were guardian ad litem, used to show up to the appointments with the parents high,
Oh,
reeking of marijuana.
I don't doubt it.
And then the next day, when they go in the court, the father's like, because the father and mother were agreeing on the parenting plan and everything, they didn't need a guardian ad litem, but they were given one because the child needed to be represented by somebody who's high.
And doesn't care.
Well, obviously we know that one, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
I think this person actually probably got high because they cared, because they knew that they were doing something that was potentially very damaging to a lot of people and a young child. I think this one person might have been the one person who actually pieced together and thought about and actually felt bad about what they were stepping in to do, and to handle the stress, to deaden the soul killing pain that she was experiencing, and again, probably just an immense amount of stress. She was getting baked before she met with the parents. And then the next day, the father says, hey, are we all good? Did you talk to the judge about our plan? Oh, yeah, I can't remember what we talked about yesterday. I don't know. The judge is going to do something. Just messed everything up. And of course, my favorite topic, blew the bills up sky high
Right.
to about 4 or 5 times of what they should have been because of her ineptness, because of her, well, galling under the influence, right?
Hmm.
GWUI, right? And now she's a judge. Do you
Well,
think she stopped? We don't
no,
know. Who checks
no.
them?
And of
Who checks
course,
them?
right. The thing is, in my case, my judge took my boys away March 2nd of 2015. And I said, as you all know, God deal with him. I don't know what to do. He won't recuse himself. And the shenanigans, the three-ring circus, the uh, degradation, beration, and terrorism that I went through in that courtroom to try to get them to do the right thing never happened until God put sanctions on the judge when a friend called me on March 2nd, 2017, and said, hey, did you see the news? And I said, no, what happened? She said, your judge died. And I said, really? So it came out in the newspaper that Judge Sambrook died of pancreatitis. Okay, so while he was on the case months and months ago, I'd like to know, and I think I deserve to know what medications he was on when he was handling the case that involved my magnificent children.
Think about that. Think about all of the people across this country whose families have been mauled up beyond recognition by a drunk by a druggie.
Mm-hmm.
These are all words that would be used against a parent if they were being dragged into the family courts. I'm not judging. If somebody has a problem, let's try to get them some help instead of erasing them and destroying them. But giving them a gavel and immunity in a fake court that doesn't have any real constitutional standing, and that's for another episode, but just how the domestic relations division came to be.
Right.
Why are they there? What's their justification? Oh, it's to protect, I get it. It's to protect the citizens of the county. It's to protect families and children. So the moment that they're not doing that, did they step outside of their constitutional boundaries? Are they acting illegally? Are they actually part of a criminal ring, a RICO operation?
Mm-hmm.
Are they? I'm asking. I don't know.
I
But I
just
think,
wonder, go ahead.
yeah. No, no, go ahead. Good.
I just wonder what it takes to find out what medications they were on when handling your case.
Right. I
And
mean,
if,
I can tell you what I was on. I was on caffeine.
right.
That's it. It's a drug. I don't know, if it was excessive. I don't think so compared to most people when I hear what they drink with how many cups of coffee they drink a day. I just had mine if you can't tell.
Well,
But
you'd be running to the bathroom off and through the whole court proceedings.
right. I mean, that's what I was on. And you ask me if I wanted to be in charge of other people's families day in and day out.
Right.
I'd be like, oh no.
No,
I
no,
could
no.
I could make a mistake and damage somebody's family for generations.
Oh, and it does. It will damage 6 generations to come, per Dr. Mark Roseman. And I cannot wait to discuss this further with you, Theo, because this was something that needed to be talked about now.
Yes, thank you for letting me know about this. And we're going to reach out because I think there are probably a lot of lawsuits that people need to initiate against these drunk and
Sadists.
high members of the judiciary. Yeah, these psychopaths, these hubris drunk wannabe gods of Olympus, these failed celebrities.
Right. Hey, how can people reach you if they have any questions?
Well, you can contact me at theo@alliedra.com. That's allied, ALLIED as in day, ra.com. And I'd be happy to talk to you primarily because I am not a lawyer. I don't give legal advice. I don't give good legal advice because there is no such thing.
Correct.
But I
Yeah.
can talk to you about your bills. If you have large bills from anywhere, I'd love to sit down and talk to you about them, see how you feel about those bills, and then maybe give you a couple of tips to look into whether or not these bills were issued properly, charged properly. If not, possibly what can be done. Be happy to explore it together with anyone.
Definitely, because I know I sent you my bills.
Yes, we're going to have a fun one going over those.
Oh, great. Well, hey, don't jump off. Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these courtrooms. I'm your host, Maryann Petri. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube. Please like and subscribe, Apple, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google, and other platforms I don't even know about. Again, feel free to buy me a coffee to help keep this podcast going. I totally thank you, Theo Chino, that we were able to discuss this now.
Thank you, Marianne. Ciao.
Ciao.